and welcome to another Georgia Techie video about Georgia Tech. Today I thought I would summarize my first year at Georgia Tech because it has now been a year since I started classes. So I started my time at Georgia Tech doing Ignite. My Ignite was completely 100% online due to COVID, so I was in the UK and on a different time zone taking all my classes, which was really weird. The classes I took that semester were GT 1000, and that was the leadership track one. I took English 2, and mine was about the scientific revolution, was kind of our theme, and then I also took early US history. My GT 1000 class was pretty fine. We met only like once a week, and it was fine. My group kinda weren't the best. Sorry if you're watching this and in my group, but yeah, it was a lot of group work, and my group, a lot of them just had a lot of other plans, like they were hiking in a place with no internet, which was difficult, but I ended up getting an A in the class. But it was just annoying and I didn't really learn much. Then there was English 1102, which otherwise known as English 2, and that class was enjoyable. I actually really liked it. There were some kind of long reads, I guess, like we had to read this book, The Disappearing Spoon, which was it just wasn't that entertaining. But I liked a lot of the classes. I liked the work I did. I did some really cool work in that class. The professor, she was really nice, and I ended up getting an A in that class, so that was a good class. Now, my worst class over Ignite was probably early US history. It didn't go well. Their professor's lectures were just kind of rambly and you didn't learn much, and I'd learned nothing in that class. Like, I think I had to write one paper, and then he had these quizzes and tests, but all the quizzes and tests were copied from Quizlet, and it was just like, I didn't feel like I was learning much, to be honest, which was kind of upsetting. And I think the professor I had ended up getting fired, because at the end of the semester we do reviews on our professors, and he was like, hey, you should really give me a good review if you liked my class, because they're not having me teach in the future, and if you want me to teach, give me a good review. So yeah, I think he got fired. So in summary of that semester, I took 3 classes, which was 7 credits, and I was able to get a 4.0, which is quite normal for Ignite. And it went well. I wasn't part of any club, so I didn't have any leadership opportunities. Now, I think Ignite and taking 7 credits over 5 weeks and getting a 4.0 increased my confidence in myself way too much. Because in the fall, I took an insane schedule. Do not do this. Like, no. Do not do this. Like, never. Like, no. Bad work. No. I know you freshmen. I know you see this and they're like, that looks like what I did in high school. No. You're stupid. Do not do this. No. But yeah, fall, I actually got to be on campus, which was super, super fun. And I actually joined a club. I joined Drama Tech. I showed up to open house, and I was a part of open house. I was going to perform in open house, and then right before I was supposed to perform, I broke my femur. Don't recommend doing that either. But yeah, through the rest of that semester, I started to get really involved with Drama Tech and a lot of their opportunities. I started doing a lot of marketing with them, which was really cool. And then you'll see later that marketing with Drama Tech opened a lot of doors for me in marketing in other areas. So going through the classes I took in the fall, the first one was ME 1770, and this is your introduction to like engineering, design, drawing, and CAD course. So you start the course the first few weeks like learning 2-point perspective, how to draw cubes, what different perspectives are, how to do that, like engineering, paper, pencil, drawing stuff. Then you get taught how to use SolidWorks and do different parts and all of SolidWorks. And you do a bunch of cool stuff in SolidWorks, and you make an individual final project and you make a team final project. And my team had a really cool project. Based on my experience breaking my femur and being in a wheelchair, I designed a device that could help wheelchair users open doors, because that's something, if you're in a wheelchair, you struggle with, because especially if it's a manual wheelchair, you're using your hands to push you, and then you have no hands to open a door. And so this was a device that could just sit under the armrest and help you open that door. So that was really cool. I loved that. I'm very kind of artsy. I love this class. My professor was also like phenomenal, like just a great class. I loved this class. I got an A in it. It was good. Now the next class was Chem 1310. This class was a lot. I just personally wasn't super interested in the content, to be honest, but it also it felt like a lot of content, and it was just a very hard class. You had to do labs, you had to do lab reports, you had to do tests and midterms and finals, and it was just a lot for me that first, Ignite was a semester, but this was like my first real semester of college, and Chem was it was a lot for me, and I did not enjoy it, and it was hard, and a lot of memorization, and I ended up getting a B in the class, which honestly, I should be happy about, because that was a bad class. It was bad. Then the next class I took was Physics 2211. Now, I really enjoyed this class. I took all of the AP Physics in high school, like all 4 of them. So I was very solid in my physics knowledge going into this course. And my professor was incredible. She was so sweet. Like, I really enjoyed this class. I got to use GlowScript to like program some of my experiments, which was really cool. Really liked this class. But I did end up getting a B in it. And this was my fault. Majorly my fault. Please don't make this mistake. And I luckily learned from this mistake. I had a lot of finals. Again, I was taking 6 classes. And so I went into that final with like a 96% in that class, and I was like, I'll do fine. I haven't gotten below a 95 on like any assignment in this class. Like I was doing so well in this class, and I was really worried about a lot of my other finals. So I just ended up not studying for physics and being like, I did fine on everything else. I barely studied for everything else. I should do fine on the final. Well, the final came around and I got like a 42% on the final and ended with a B in the course. Don't do that, especially when the final is such a big part of your final grade. So yeah, it's a learning opportunity, and I mean, it's a B. I'm not going to beat myself up for that, but definitely a learning experience. My next class was 1371. Now, I have realized over the course of me doing engineering stuff, I hate computer science. I just don't like programming. And I think it's, programming classes. I think it's less so how, I like programming for my own enjoyment, but I don't like a lot of the way CS classes are structured, where things are automatically generated. It's very rigid. I like doing personal projects in computer science where I can, be a bit more creative, be a bit more human, I guess. I didn't really like the content, and there were some very, very hard tests. And like a lot of these tests had like a 60% as the average. And this class was also 70%, I think, or like 70% of our grade came from finals and midterms. Which as a incoming freshman was very difficult. So I did not do well on a lot of those midterms. The grade was like, again, average 60%, and I was about average. But the final came around and you could grade replace your midterms with your finals. I studied so hard for that final, and I ended up making a B in the class. So I ended up going from a D in that class to a B in the class because I studied so hard for that final. This is part of the reason I didn't study for physics. So I ended up getting a B in that class, and I'm actually quite proud of that B. Then there was linear algebra. Linear algebra was like the easiest class for me. I like did not show up for lectures. I like didn't do anything in that class. I used our online textbook, which is a very good textbook for this class. I talked to kids and they'd go to like every single lecture where we wouldn't learn much and watch all these recorded videos, and I was like, just pull up the textbook, you'll learn everything in like 10 minutes. Well, like everything from one lecture in 10 minutes. And I took linear algebra in high school, so I just had to take this class for the credit, and it was an easy A for me. So I got an A in that class. It was good. And then the last class I took in the fall was I took wellness asynchronously. Wellness is honestly a meme. You don't really learn anything in that class. The funniest part of this class is, again, for pretty much this entire semester, I could not walk. I was in a wheelchair. And not being able to walk, being in a like health class where you're expected to do exercise was weird, and didn't really work out. And so it was kind of weird talking to the professor and being like, hey, I can't do some of these assignments. I can't stand up. So that was very interesting. But again, it was asynchronous. The entire class took probably about half an hour a week, and I got an A in it. So I'll take that GPA boost, especially after those 3 Bs, which was quite upsetting for me as someone who did very well in high school. Like, I did good, but like it took me a bit of time to realize like it's okay to get a B in college. And so didn't get a 4.0 this semester. This is my, I don't remember the exact number. This is my GPA that semester. And I was involved in one club, which was Drama Tech. And then towards the end, I like started reaching out to some other clubs. So I started reaching out to a club called YJSP, where I joined and got to do some rocket stuff. And I started reaching out to a club called Hyperloop, which competes in SpaceX Hyperloop competition. Now, I very quickly left the Hyperloop club, not because it's a bad club, just because I was enjoying other clubs more. So that was my fall. Now, my spring semester, I started to get a lot more involved, and like I wanted to make friends my spring semester. I was like, I can walk, I want to start doing stuff, please. So I started joining a lot of clubs. I started joining sailing. I started getting way more active in YJSP. I helped do a lot of our graphic design, which was very cool being a part of that. And then a friend of mine rechartered Georgia Tech Debate this semester, where I became head of marketing. So that was really fun. I was like involved in part of stuff on campus. And I also became part of Georgia Tech sailing and like figured out how to sail and like raced in regattas and that was really cool because I did not ever think I would sail, and I learned how to sail, and now I'm on race team, so, and on exec. Towards the end of fall, I got chosen to be apparel chair, so I head up all of the club's apparel. So in spring, in terms of classes, I started to learn a little bit from fall. Not as much as I should have, but a bit, and I only took 17 credits, which was 5 classes instead of 19, which was 6. Out of those classes, one of those I took was Physics 2212, which is Physics 2, which again wasn't completely new information because I did take all 4 AP Physics courses in high school, but needed to get the credit at Georgia Tech. So that class was good. My professor was pretty good. It was very similar to Physics 1, just new content, electricity and magnetism instead of mechanics. And I learned my lesson from what I did in Physics 1 and actually studied for the final this time. And I got an A in the class. It ended up being an easy A simply because I actually studied for the final. Like, studying for the final changed a course that was very similar from a B to an easy A. Please study for the final. The other class I took was differential equations. This class, like, my brain just did not understand the ideas of differential equations. I just couldn't get it. And then the lectures and the homeworks and the tests and everything were very, very conceptual. Were very concrete, like, here's the formula, here's how you apply this formula. And then the tests would be very abstract and like ask you about the logic behind those formulas, and a lot of like very abstract explanations of why this math works instead of applying it. Which I've never been in a math class like that, and we didn't really go over in lecture. And so I was very confused, and I didn't know how to study for the tests. Because of this, I did very, very bad on the tests in this course. And then I studied again. You'll see this as a consistency. I finally learned how to study for finals, but I studied my butt off for that final. And I ended up getting a B in that class from like, I think I was at like a high D or a low C. I studied and I did so well with that final, and I got a B. It was like proudest B ever. Cause if you talk to me during this time, I was like, I need to withdraw from this class. Like, or fail and do freshman forgiveness, just a grade substitution. Like, there is no chance. I thought there was no chance of me getting above a C in that class. I thought it just could not happen, like wouldn't happen. And I did so well on that final, it did happen, which really, I was very lucky. Like, I talked to upperclassmen and I was like, I'm not okay getting a C. Should I just drop this class? And they're like, no, taking a C is better than dropping. But I thought I was gonna get a C, so I got a B. It was so good. Diffie Q. Don't ever ask me to use it though. Now, multi. Kind of did a Physics 1 with multi. I was doing so well in multi. I was crushing all the tests. I did really, really well on the midterm. And then I was really focusing on Diffie Q and making sure I didn't do a repeat of Physics 1 in my physics course. That I was like, multi, I really have, I feel like I've understood this exam. I did really well on the midterm. And I did study, but I didn't, and I studied the same way I did for the midterm, but the final ended up just being very different from the way the midterm was structured, and I ended up not doing well on that final and getting a B in that class, which is kind of upsetting for me because I thought I would definitely get an A, but I got a B, so. Then the next class I took was statics, and I loved statics. it was like it had in-person lectures, and my professor was so nice and really caring, and like I learned so much. Like this class made me realize that like in-person courses like change how I learn, and I'm not bad at college, I'm bad at online classes. And I soaked information up so much simply by just sitting in an in-person lecture versus it being online. And yeah, I learned a ton from that course. It was, again, pretty much an easy A, just because I learned a lot by sitting in this lecture. I know some people think statics is hard, but like statics was my easiest engineering course. So then the last class I took that spring was an asynchronous materials science class. I really enjoyed this class. I enjoyed the content. Unfortunately, all the midterms and finals were multiple choice, which I personally really struggled with because I would get one thing and wrong, and then all my logic wouldn't care about. So I ended up getting a B in that class. So again, wish I did better in the spring, but overall pretty happy with how that turned out. No, but spring was overall really good. I got to make some more friends. I got to feel involved a bit more in campus. I just generally got a lot of new opportunities and really enjoyed my spring. Now, it is now summer, and I just finished up the first half of my summer, which is the early short summer, which is technically my sophomore year, but I'm doing like my first calendar year at Georgia Tech, but like first 365 days at Georgia Tech. And this summer I am taking 12 credits because I need to, if I take 12 credits, I can use a scholarship to get in-state tuition. So those classes were psychology. Psychology I have now just finished. I took my final yesterday. I got my final grade today, and I have officially gotten an A in psychology. I enjoyed it. It was a very, very quick class. 5 weeks was very quick. But I enjoyed my class. Then I'm also not done these, but I'm taking ME 2016, which is more MATLAB, which I'm loving. And then I'm taking dynamics, which is interesting, but has been a bit difficult. And then I'm taking thermo, which I'm actually really enjoying, but I'm only halfway through those classes. So we'll see what happens at the end of the summer when my opinion changes. But so far they're going well. And this summer I've been, again, trying to get a bit more involved. So I've become an Ignite Spark mentee, so I'm taking in some children who were where I was a year ago, and kind of showing them around Georgia Tech, which is fun. I'm working on becoming a PI in the Invention Studio, and using all the equipment there. And then I also have started working towards my pilot's license. And then the last thing I'm doing this summer is I got promoted to head of PR for YJSP, and am heading up making a documentary about us trying to be the first collegiate team to send a liquid fuel rocket to space. So overall, I am really enjoying my summer, getting to try and do a lot of new things, and that, I guess, is where I'm sitting now after my first full year at Georgia Tech. A lot has changed, and I've enjoyed it. Done a lot, 45 credits, like 6 clubs. But yeah, if you have any questions about any of that, let me know. And if not, that's all. Bye.
Oh, life could be a dream if I could take you up in paradise.